Yes, and welcome to In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Dale. We've got another awesome show for you today. This broadcast is going to be brought to you by Greater Than Your Greatest. And we're talking about that thing that never happened, the greatest thing that never happened. Understanding why things happen the way they do, and they're always happening for us, and how to explore a mindset so you can get wrapped around that so you're not confused or frustrated when things pop up, as long as you realize that this is happening for me, and you use the phrase or the question Aaron and I shared with you a while back, what else could this mean? And if I wasn't going to come at this thing from a frustration point of view, or if I wasn't going to come at this thing from a, of course this happened, what else could it mean, and how is this happening for me? Where's the lesson in it? It's so critical and crucial that we have that mindset, and that we allow ourselves to see the known, allowing the unknown to become shown. And that's what we're all about today. And so I know Aaron's got a lot to say on this topic, as we were both dreamers. We're heavy dreamers as it is. And we dreamt a life we didn't understand was going to look quite the way it does right now. Aaron, what's good, son?
What up, man? We out here in New London, bro. I'm so excited, man. I ain't been out here in so long. And we're down here at the mall. Because I know something, and you need to know about it. Whether or not it's for you or not, I'm going to leave that in your hands, but it's not going to leave it in my hands. I'm going to leave it in y'all. So we're having a great day down here, man. You know, just circling back with people, getting rocking and rolling. And you're talking about my favorite subject, man, the greatest thing that never happened, or the greatest thing is yet to come. And I think the video that you just sent with TD Jakes talking about how faith is built. And I talked a little bit about that yesterday, and on both videos in the morning and also on Tuesday morning, just talking about, like, how do you really build faith? Is it going to be after the storm is past, or is it going to be while the storm is current? And I think our greatest self is a reflection of how we overcome, right? And the messages that we receive through that challenge, through that storm, through that trial, whatever it may be in your life that you learn from, you look back at it like, wow, you know, that made me stronger, that made me greater. So I love that subject, Keith.
Yeah, and it's all about the unknown being shown, and without the unknown. And Aaron, we know this because we love to live in the unknown. We love to live in that faith-based living, that faith-based lifestyle. And
Right.
yeah, as Kev pops up, what's going on, Kev? And so when we think about those things without the unknown, then faith would not be born, because that's literally where it lives. And for those that aren't used to living there, and they love certainty, and they're even taking it a step further, they're going certainty, significance. Well, then they're
Right.
definitely going to make sure that they know what they're walking into, they know what they're walking out of, everything's planned ahead of time. And when it's not, they're frozen. And when they're frozen, faith can't live there either, because there's fear there. And so with a little bit more unknown in your life, or more, let's say, understanding or asking of better questions in order to allow you to continue to come from a place of intent, of abundance, and the mindset of how is this happening for me. What you'll also hear on that video is where they were talking about all the stories, all the people that didn't die on 9/11 because of a fortunate rerouting of their destiny, or what they saw as their destiny. The destiny was already drawn. The rerouting was different from what they expected, but it allowed them to continue on their path. So for us, Aaron, that rerouting of sorts, or when it was shown to us, it often happens to be one of the most painful, hardest things to believe. And it may be the opposite of what we saw at the time, being our belief and identity about where we were going. And for a lot of athletes, it happens that way, and it shows up as an injury. And so injuries get a bad name. And so then the people who take care of the injuries and allow the athletes to get back on their path, well, they get this fear-based relationship with athletes, because they don't want to be with somebody like myself, who's an athletic trainer and somebody who recovers and helps people rehab and helps them allow their career to be even longer. They don't want to have that relationship. So fear sets in no matter what. But what they're not realizing is the lesson that's being taught when the injury shows up. I bet people like KD right now, I'm sure he's got a lot of questions. You know, he's in a new place. He's ready to bring a city even more championship type basketball, and an
Yep.
injury popped up. Well, he not only was he not ready for that city, not only was he not ready for Brooklyn, Brooklyn wasn't ready for him, and this is going to allow a buffer so that he can focus on what he needs to focus on, becoming stronger in other areas to play that type of basketball, while this
Right.
injury makes sure he does it. Because he's
Right.
not retiring, but this injury is going to make sure that he does it. He wasn't going to do that before. He was going out with a
Right.
chip on his shoulder instead of a chip in his hand, holding up that trophy.
Wow. You know, it's so profound. And I think about the stories that I always tell people about my football career. And people ask me all the time, it's like, you know, what happened? Tell me the story. And it actually brings joy to my life now when I remember it bringing pain. And the reason why I brought pain was because of that identity factor, right? I thought that that was what it was all about. And once it was taken away, I couldn't get past the fact that the limited, the lack, the what could have been, what should have been, all these things are my limiting beliefs and what my capabilities were, right? And what I really was born to do. And football gave me a lot. It gave me amazing skills. It gave me amazing discipline. It gave me amazing strength mentally, both physically, all that. And all those skills have now transpired into uplifting and empowering others as well as myself, right? Because every day is a new challenge. And I seek uncertainty now. Whereas before, that story would just be one of sorrow and, oh, I'm sorry for that, man. Oh, it must have been hard. And I say, no, actually, it was great because I didn't lose my brain. I didn't lose a more serious injury, or I didn't lose my leg. I could still run around. I could still do a lot of things, right? I injured my knee. All that was my knee. And even though that took me out of running fast as I was or cutting or just being a liability, it became the greatest thing that never happened going forward because I became a new person. I became someone who now uses that opportunity to actually have common ground with another athlete, someone who had an injury or someone who had some adversity or something that happened to someone, and help them to realize that you can look through that message and say, wow, this thing was actually designed and given to me so that I can be greater. And see, that's where we start to grow as individuals, right? That's when we start to mature. And until you realize that, right, we're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay stagnant. We're going to stay comfortable, and we're going to stay uncertain. And I think that's where that belief factor starts coming in, right? And you start to just stay in that space. So, yeah, Keith, I think that story, actually, I was sharing it yesterday with a guy as we were coaching the kids for baseball. He's like, oh, did you play baseball? You know your stuff. And I said, I did play baseball, but I was more of a football guy. He goes, oh, really? Did you play high school? And I was like, yeah, I played high school. And, I left it at that. But the cool thing about it is that every time someone mentions that or I have a chance to reflect on that, I really give that thanks and gratitude because I tell you right now, if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have become the person I became today.
Yeah, Aaron, and it's all about in the process when we think about things that are happening to us and they're major moments, they're major shifts, they're significant emotional events like Rod teaches us. What we get to experience in those circumstances is we get to look at it and look at it from a point of, let me reflect. Like, this is how our minds work. Let's reflect and refract, because we can reflect and give back more of what it's showing up as, and that's painful, misunderstood, and we can simply reflect it back, and we can be in a reactionary state, or we can refract it, and that's what we're really good at, doing it for ourselves and helping others do that. And think about refraction. It takes it from one form and magnifies it and creates something even greater. And one of the greatest refractors, other than our hearts and our eyes, is a prism. And think about what happens when light hits a prism and what comes out.
Right. That's amazing. That's a great analogy. And I think we can always look at things either half empty or half full. And we can see that if actually the glass is half full, that means that there's more room for growth versus there's only a half glass left, right? And so if you look at that prism, the same thing. And so, Keith, as we're sitting here, Ronald and I, grinding, I'm breathing some of this whale of air. So where my whale is at, it's interesting because I used to have fear reaching back out to people that I've done business with before or, built a result with.
It was that letdown factor. Remember, you're recovering.
Right. I'm still doing that. And I think that as I overcome that fear of reaching out, because I don't want to feel that feeling that I felt when we stopped doing business because I felt like I let them down. I feel like I failed them, even though I can look at the actions that happened. It had nothing to do with me, even though I take that on my shoulder. I'm overcoming that fear to say, hey, you know, I'm still here and I am still willing to provide the value that I know you deserve, right? And that's what it's about, Keith. And I think if we can live our life in that manner, where we can walk and talk knowing that people are deserving of our time, people are deserving of our value, and that whatever they receive is what they receive, but the way that we put out has to be one of significance, but more importantly, abundance, right? I think that can really fill someone like me up, because I know that if I can help someone change, or if I can help somebody improve, and I see that process moving forward, I'm going to be very, very happy. And it doesn't matter if that continues to pay me monetarily. It does matter to me that I get it emotionally and spiritually, because I know that my impact on them is going to eventually share that through them to someone else that also needs that encouragement.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So for everybody that showed up live today, the likes, the loves, the comments, that's the heartbeat and the breath of the broadcast, as you know. And for the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to see this shared all over the world, especially those suffering in silence, trying to figure out why certain things happened to them. Remember, this is all happening for you. It's unfolding, taking that unknown, allowing it to be shown.
Sure
and we
is.
will see you next time on In the Tank Live tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time with Aaron Harrison and Keith Theo. Peace.
Peace.